I'm not into all the other, I think. What other? The they and them.
Someone told me about this thing called non-binary and they, them, and all these things. And I was like, oh my God, this is a place where I can exist. And it was magical.
Yeah. And all that extra that we added during the pandemic because everyone was so bored on their houses.
This is Ari, Gwendolyn and Brynnifer. They are in a polyamorous relationship and they all parent Hazel and Sparrow.
We have a 2-year-old anti-gender baby and a 10-year-old who is non-binary.
They just started to make up more stuff. Yeah, that's where the conservatives like me because I'm just real.
Yeah, you have a conservative vibe to you.
You're not they and them. You're trans, you're male or you're female.
I think I'm weird because that I feel very like genderless. I feel ageless. I feel like I'm just like spirit.
And you're standing on that.
Get so mad when I say that. How are you a they? What the does that mean? It's stupid is what it is.
Yeah.
But you need someone like me that looks like me to say it. Because if you say it, it turns into you're homophobic, you hate trans people, you hate gays. And it's just how you feel. You don't hate anyone. You just think it's stupid.
I just went on and I saw a few outlets saying that I'm transphobic. Jeffree Star, who has 5 transgender employees. I have over 100 employees of all different ethnicities. A brand that is inclusive to the entire world. What we're not gonna do is lie. So if you posted an article saying anything like that, you better delete it, Miss Thing, because I'm coming. All I said was I don't agree with pronouns. That's it. So you know how Cardi B sued that woman and, well, the lady don't have any money, but Cardi B won, allegedly, a lot of money from the lawsuit, even though she'll never get it. It's still the point of she won. That was phenomenal for someone like me that has been abused and dragged through the mud. Now we all know all my past mistakes, girl. Every time that I have an opinion, everyone has to bring up everything from the past. That's getting so old, but the support and the understanding and the common sense from millions of people that I've seen over the last few days, it made me realize the planet's not that awful. Like, people get it. It's just social media and they love to drag Miss Jeffrey Lynn. Also, shout out to so many amazing, beautiful transgender people and the LGBT community in my DMs writing me. Just thank you.
Well, I've been pretty consistent, Sean, from the beginning. I've said that biological boys should not play in women's sports. It is just not fair. We have to protect women's sports from something like this. Leah Thomas, first of all, I respect her right to live her life authentically. Suffering from gender dysphoria is a horrible lifelong struggle, and every story is different. Let me tell you, Sean, I know that one. And I respect her right to do that. But with that comes some responsibility and integrity in what you're doing. And I don't know why she's doing it. We live in this woke world right now that's driving me crazy. I feel sorry for the girls on the Penn team because they have to be so woke and say, oh, this is great. We're down deep inside. They're saying this is wrong. Let me see if I can try to explain this condition. Okay. Are you right-handed or left-handed?
Right-handed.
Okay.
You're
I'm left-handed.
Okay.
Right-handed or left-handed?
I'm right.
Okay. Why are you guys right-handed and me left-handed?
Well, that's just the way you were born.
Some people get very excited whenever a person like Jeffree Star or Caitlyn Jenner says something that does not conform to the radical LGBTQ narrative and receives criticism from the LGBTQ community. Jeffree Star was celebrated by many for expressing opposition to non-binary pronouns, and Caitlyn Jenner was praised by many for opposing men participating in women's sports. And because Caitlyn Jenner holds several positions that can be considered further on the right, Jenner was even given a position at Fox News, a supposedly conservative news organization. However, while Jeffree Star may be correct about the ridiculousness of non-binary preferred pronouns, he is completely wrong about his support for homosexuality and transgenderism.
Simply stated, there is no such thing as transgender. You're either XX or XY. That's it. God made man male and female. That is determined genetically. That is physiology. That is science. That is reality. This notion that you are something other than your biology is a cultural construct intended as an assault on God.
We should not be elevating anyone, Jeffree Star or Caitlyn Jenner, who is so fundamentally wrong about such important issues, because this just leads to immense confusion. We should be communicating to them that while they are correct about that one particular issue, they need to turn away from the very foundation of their views concerning human sexuality.
The first idea that this text negates is the idea that everything is sexual. The idea that that's the essence of who we are. And if you want to see examples of this, you need to look no further than people who say, my identity is, I am homosexual, I am transgender, I am non-binary, I am. That's who I am. That is the essence of who I am. Well, the text rejects that.
The very fact that Starr and Jenner believe men can become women and women can become men essentially invalidates what little they might say against some small aspect of the LGBTQ movement.
Jeffree Star's conservative defenders have told me that, well, we should accept him into the fold because he is, they say, mostly right about the gender issue. But he's not mostly right. He's not even in the neighborhood of right. He's not in the I don't know what planet he's even on, let alone the neighborhood. He believes that a person can identify as and actually be a member of the opposite sex. He affirms transgenderism. It's just that he prefers to stick with the term transgender to describe those people and believes that non-binary is extra and redundant. And he's right that it is redundant. You know, as non-binary versus transgenderism, that is a distinction without a difference. That doesn't make him more right or closer to the truth. He's not suddenly a defender of truth and tradition because he prefers to stick with the craziest left-wing ideas from yesterday rather than adopting the craziest ideas from today. In fact, non-binary isn't even really crazier than transgenderism. These terms are, again, redundant. They are versions of the same nonsense. Starr prefers using one term for the nonsense rather than two.
Many praised Caitlyn Jenner for criticizing the ridiculousness of some of the things Dylan Mulvaney, perhaps the most powerful transgender influencer in the country, was posting on TikTok. Jenner tweeted, "There is a difference between acceptance and tolerance, and normalizing exposing your genitals in a public way and a public place. I do not support that at all, in the slightest. Dylan, congrats, you're trans with a blank." In response, Mulvaney posted this.
And remember being embarrassed about your body or having strangers give you dirty looks. That's why I made that video, because I was embarrassed and I wanted to reclaim my body in a positive way. And now you've taken that and you've turned it into something really ugly. And I didn't start Days of Girlhood because being a woman sounded fun. I started this series because of the unspoken shame of being newly trans. I still have so much to learn. And we come from very different generations and you're so much farther along in your journey than I am. But I've cheered you on from the second you came out, truly. And I'm so happy that you've had the surgeries that you've desired. But I'm 25 years old and I am on day 233. I can't even get bottom surgery right now if I wanted to. I haven't been on hormones long enough. And this whole situation makes me not want to share my surgical plans because there are so many trans women who don't have access to it or they don't want it. And it doesn't make them any less of a woman. You know, funny enough, one of the only things that we do have in common is that I'm going to one of your surgeons. You know, I'm not as far along as you. Please be patient. And, you know, now that I think about it, I don't even think I have interest in getting to know you because the way you use your platform to publicly degrade me, it told me everything I needed to know about you. And a trans person invalidating another trans person's transness is pretty evil in my eyes. Like, the call is coming from inside the house. It's coming off very selfish. You know, is no one else allowed to be trans? I, for one, am excited to welcome anyone into our community because I know how isolating it can be. And this whole situation, it feels like the movie Mean Girls. I mean, Halloween is right around the corner, so there's a costume idea for us, I guess. I don't know, I digress. But you've been accepted by a group of people that clearly does not accept me.
Of course, the evils of what Dylan Mulvaney is promoting and glorifying needs to be called out and exposed, because it is destroying the lives of countless young people who are buying into his depraved and godless ideology. However, we should not be praising someone like Caitlyn Jenner for calling out this depraved nonsense, because Jenner represents the problem itself. In a statement shared with the Rolling Stone, Jenner and her representative said, "An individual on Miss Jenner's team haphazardly misgendered Dylan. In the tweet, he is talking about his penis. For this, we deeply regret the comment and have taken the appropriate actions to rectify the situation internally." Miss Jenner has no further comment on the matter and stands by her statements otherwise. So Jenner apologizes for misgendering Mulvaney, recognizing that Mulvaney is in fact a woman, not a man. Well, this is the very problem that's the foundation of everything in the first place. So speaking out against a small aspect of the LGBTQ movement while defending and supporting its very foundations, is not something that is worthy of praise or applause.
Once again, this is why Caitlyn Jenner never should have been embraced by conservatives, because that's the real, and I've seen some conservatives respond as defending Jenner. He deserves no defense. Really, this is a story about the moron conservatives, the idiots who embrace this guy, and they just look dumber and dumber every single day. Never should have been embraced by conservatives. He is not a good advocate on this issue, or on any issue, but especially on this one. Okay, to use the leftist terminology, he is not an ally. So these idiot conservatives think, well, if we have a trans person come in and criticize the trans agenda, well, that's the trump card right there. That's the ace up our sleeves. No, that's the last person who can criticize the trans agenda, is someone who's actively promoting it.
As Christians, we should be promoting the whole truth, not propping up individuals like Jeffree Star and Caitlyn Jenner, who are doing far more harm than good regarding the LGBTQ movement and agenda. We need to recognize that they are destroying countless lives by advocating for essentially all of the talking points of the LGBTQ movement. We need to speak the whole truth concerning God's perfect design for human sexuality and call out every aspect of the depravity of the LGBTQ movement.
Which brings me to the great irony of this entire war against the Word of God. Nothing's being made better by it. Nothing's being made better by it. And worse yet, we see in Ephesians chapter 5, for example, that marriage is not just for procreation and also for sanctification, this righteous outlet for human sexual desires, but it's also for illustration. This beautiful picture of the relationship between Jesus Christ and his bride, the church. Jesus Christ, who gives us a picture of what real male headship and marriage is supposed to look like when he lays down his life for his bride, when he takes upon himself the sins of his people and suffers the punishment due to their sins, so that their righteousness being imputed, or their sinfulness being imputed to him, his righteousness can be imputed to them, so that in this double imputation, he can atone for their sins and save them from their sins and grant them entree into eternity with the triune God and his perfect unity. Christ died for sin, once for all, the just for the unjust, in order that he may bring us back to God. God made him who knew no sin to be sin for us, so that we might become the righteousness of God in him. This is what marriage is a picture of, which means that when we go to war against Genesis 2, we go to war against the gospel.
Thank you so much for watching. If you like these videos and want to help support this channel, the best way to do it is to just watch these videos until the end and click the subscribe button. Thank you so much for your support and encouragement.